Good morning, all. So today also in today's lab, we will continue looking into JavaScript. So as discussed earlier, JavaScript is the browser's programming language, and whatever features the programming language will be having, all those features you will even find it in JavaScript. So yesterday we have seen some basic things like how JavaScript has to be written and what is document dot write, and we have seen the syntax of how to write a condition using if, and how to use loops. So today we will continue exploring more of these things. uh, Sharing permission is disabled. Yeah, so if we look into the first lab that you have, so similar to whatever we have seen yesterday, you are again required to do some calculations based on these conditions. So write a JavaScript code to do online booking of theater tickets and calculate the price based on the below conditions. So you should be using conditions, and if seats to be booked is not more than two, then cost per ticket remains 150 rupees. So you will write a if condition, and in the condition you will check if the number of seats is less than 2 or not. If that condition is true, then the whatever block you have written, where you will calculate 150 rupees per ticket and you will be returning the result. If seats are if seats are 6 or more, then you are not going to allow that person to book the ticket. And if it is in between the range of 2 to 5, you will be applying for the first ticket 5, 7, 9, 11, so on the percentage for the first, second until the fifth customer. So because JavaScript is a browser programming language, you can even write functions. So in any programming language, if you take, there is a part basic building block called as functions. So what is the role of functions is, generally when we write code, we can write line by line, one line after another line, and if we can repeat the same lines how many ever times we want. But repetition will make our code look very big, and also very confusing for the reader. And it doesn't look good if you repeat the same thing again and again, if you write the same line again and again. So to automate that thing, you will be actually using functions. So what if you define functions? A function is a block of code that is written to perform a particular task. So for example, if you write a function add, that function is solely responsible for performing addition operations. If you write subtract, that function is again going to do only subtraction operation. So what are the advantages of writing like this in functions is, if when you are running the code, and if you find any errors in the code, or if you think the result is not coming correctly, then you will actually know where the things are going wrong in the code, and you can directly go to that place, and you can fix the error things, what is causing that error. So that is one of the main feature of main good advantage of writing the code in functions. So even in JavaScript, you can actually write the code in functions. So suppose if like how do you declare functions in JavaScript is you will be using the keyword function followed by the function name, and these are called num1 and num2 are called as parameters. So we wanted to give some input to the functions, then uh, we will be making them look at these num1 and num2. We will be sending them as parameters, and by using these input parameters you will perform the operation that you want, and you will use the keyword return, and you will return the result back. So this is how you will, if you wanted to write a code in functions, this is how you will write it in JavaScript. So how do you call a function in JavaScript is followed by the function name, followed by the values that you have to send to the function, and the result return, whatever value is returned will be stored in the result. And then you have console.log. So there are different ways to display the text onto the browser. So earlier we have seen document.write. This console log is also mostly used for debugging purposes. And here you are trying to print the output, the some result is. So if we continue with the same example in the lab, so booking ticket details, you have a prompt. Prompt is nothing but it will display that particular text for you and with a box. So once you enter the value of the number of tickets that is stored in X, so anytime you give input in JavaScript or any other programming language, it is generally going to be a number, generally going to be a string. So you have to typecast it to the according to your requirement. So we want X is a number. So we are converting that X to a number by using this function, and now X is the number. So document.write, document.write is helping you in writing the text onto the browser, and then you are checking the condition. If it is in between the ranges, then you have seats available, and you are using a for loop and generating a discount and printing the details. If the seats are not in between that range, then you are telling seats are not available, and you are again telling uh, you have to pay so much for that ticket. So if I type number of tickets as 3, I will be able to make it. If I write number of tickets is 1, I will not be able to do. I won't be getting any discount. Like this. So here in the next experiment or the lab that you have, so create an employee class extending from a base class person. So they have given you some hints of what the class should contain and what all should be done. So in terms of object-oriented programming language, you might have already seen classes and objects. So in real time, we work with real-time entities that are very big. So to identify or to separate out each one isolatedly, you will be using something called as classes. So a class has fixed details related to it. So if you tell a vehicle as a class, so vehicles generally have wheels, it has a fuel, it has windows. These are some things that are generally there for a vehicle. So you can say vehicle is a class, and its properties are like uh, vehicle color, number of wheels, vehicle fuel type, speed of the vehicle, and all will be something that are completely related to the vehicle, and you can write it in that class. So class is nothing but a blueprint of that particular object. So by using class, how do you use a class is by creating objects. So if class is ready, you have a prototype or you have a blueprint, and by using that class, you will create objects and you will make the code work. So even in JavaScript, you can actually write classes like how you can write it in Java, Python, and all. Even in JavaScript also you can write classes. And classes are a way to create objects with similar properties and methods. So properties and methods are something that will be there in every class. So suppose if you take a bank class, bank account number will be the properties account number, account name, like that mobile number, and methods can be like add money, uh, debit money, calculate interest rate, and all these kind of things come under the method. So, so whenever you are given any big problem, if you think it has multiple objects in it, then creating a classes and isolating each one from another and avoiding confusion will be a good practice. So as said earlier, they provide a blueprint for creating objects with predefined properties. So if you look at the example, uh, class declaration. So how do you declare a class in Java is you have a keyword called as class followed by the class name. So you have to write constructors. So constructors are nothing but how do you initialize this class? So how do you create an object for this class? That is that can be done by using the constructor. So whenever you are creating an object for animal, so what values do you want to initialize? You will be sending it in the constructor and you will be you will be assigning it to the so method. So this is one of the method that is there for this class, and it is doing like printing the output. So in classes, uh, in object-oriented programming principles, there is also the concept called as inheritance, which is possible mostly because of the classes. So, so why do you extend or why do you use this keyword or why do you use the inheritance concept is generally whenever we write code, we have some piece of code that is already written. So, so if we can also write another block of code again starting completely. But when you have already something written and you wanted to make use of that already existing one and then build on, then you will be using this concept of inheritance. So inheritance will help us in making the code more reusable again and again, reducing the number of lines and reducing the errors and all. So, so how do you do inherit or do this in JavaScript is also similar to Java. So you will be using the keyword extend followed by the class name which you wanted to use in your code. So generally in terms of how you call, this is called as a subclass and this is called as a superclass, and another terminology is like parent class and a children class, like that. So now animal is a superclass, and because animal can be anything like dog, cat, so they have something in common. So like something in common can be like name, age is very common, is there for every animal. So that is why you have given those features in the superclass. And wherever you wanted to create subtypes like cat, dog, or camel, or any other animal, you will make use of those things. And whatever additional that you want in that child class, you can actually add. Like a dog means it has different breeds and all. So, so apart from the features that are available in animal, You can also add your own features for the dog class. So you are again creating a constructor name age, and whenever you use the super keyword, the things in the parent class will be called. So super of name age means this particular constructor will be invoked, and name and age of the dog will be initialized, and you have additional feature of breed. So breed will be initialized here. So fetch is the method that is only there in the dog, but if you want, you can also access speak method also inside the dog class. So class mathematical operations, static. So static methods are those when you don't wanted to create an object, but you wanted to access the properties directly, then you actually use static methods. So now so these are the classes that are created. So these are the requirements. Now how do you make use of these classes is by creating objects. So how do you create objects is by using the keyword new. New animal is the class name. So here you are initializing by calling whiskers, 5. So when you call this line, what exactly gets invoked is the constructor. So here name and age gets assigned, and name and age gets assigned to the variables. And again, if you see dog is a variable, and you are creating a instance or object of the dog. So again, you will use the keyword new followed by the class name and the values that you are giving. So when you are calling here, this particular constructor gets invoked. Name, age, breed will be assigned back to the respective variable. So if you wanted to call the methods, you can call cat.speak, dog.speak, dog.fetch, which are already there in those classes. Now coming to the static method that we have seen, how do you call static methods is class name dot the method name. So because here for math operations, which is a class, we are not creating an object, okay? So without creating an object, if you wanted to access the functions without creating an object, then that is possible by using the keyword static. So match dot add. So you are directly able to call the function add, and then you are able to call this function, send the values, and you are able to get the result. So is this clear for everyone? So these classes and objects are very important concepts that you will come across in every object-oriented programming languages. And the properties remain the same, but the way you write is what makes the difference, like in terms of syntax and in terms of how the names are there, how the keywords are there, and all will differ. So if you look at the example lab that they have given, so they are asking you to create a class person. So because we are this classes and objects, everything is can actually be only written in JavaScript. So you have to be using the script tag, and then you have to start defining your classes. So here I am using the keyword class, and I'm creating a class called person, and here I am initializing the constructor. So constructor, which is going to take the two values name comma age, and is getting assigned to name comma age. And the person can be anybody, employee, employer, salesman, HR, anybody can be a person. So because these things are common for anybody, so now you are taking another class, employee, which can actually make use of person class because employees are also persons. So they will have the things that are already there for the persons class. So you are making use of the persons class that is already existing by using the keyword extends. So in the constructor, apart from name and age, you are actually adding your requirements or your features that you want, like role, salary. So then name and age can actually be initialized from the super class. So you are calling super is the keyword that is useful for accessing the methods that are there in the parent class or above classes. So super name comma age, when this line gets executed, this particular constructor gets executed and name and age will be assigned here, followed by role and salary, which just belong to employee class. So you are assigning them. So details is a function that is available in the employee class. So in the details, you are actually trying to display the details of the employee like name, age, salary, role. So if you so this is a function, and yes. So once this is done, how do you make use of this classes that you have written? Is as I said earlier, it is by using the object. So how do you create objects? Is by using the keyword new followed by the class name, and here you are sending the name, age, roll number, salary. So when you write this line, when you are trying to create the object, the constructor that is there here gets invoked and these values are assigned to it. And once the values are assigned, that means the object is created. So C is an object of type employee. So now by using this object dot details, so details is a function that is already existing in the employee class. So the employee class will be invoked, details will be invoked, and the details will be, these things will be displayed. So if you try to run this code, you can see the details are displayed. So if you click on the view page source, you can clearly see what is whatever code that we have written in the file. And because we called a details function, this line got executed and these details are displayed here for us. So again, experiment 4 is also the same as the experiment that you have already have. There is not much difference in experiment 4. See? So if you click on, if you look at the experiment 4D, so if a user clicks on a given link, then they should see an empty cone, a different heading, and a different message, a different background. If the user clicks again, they should see a refilled cone, a different heading, a different message, and a different. It should differ from whatever you have seen previously. So in the 4D experiment, what you are mainly focusing is on changing the text that is that is being visible to you by click operations or by hover operations or by any of the mouse events that are there on the website. You wanted to change the details that are already being displayed on the website. So for example, sometimes whenever you click, you will be navigating to the next page. Sometimes when you click, a red color image will be changed to a yellow color image. So in general, in real times, whenever you use a website and based on click operations, if things are changing, or text is changing, image is changing, anything that is changing is mostly possible because of the keyword inner HTML property that is there in the JavaScript. So the main role of this inner HTML property is allows you to access or modify the HTML content that is already existing. So it provides a way to dynamically change the page content without reloading. So without reloading in the sense, if we click something here and if we wanted to see that change, we have to reload like this, and then only we will be able to see the changes if JavaScript is not there. But without reloading the page like this, if you wanted the things to be changed there itself, like if you click animal, that animal should be changed to dog or cat, like anything, then that is possible because of this inner HTML tag. So if you look at the example here, so as we have seen from quite a long time, HTML tag, head, meta, title tag, head closing, and then we are starting with a body tag, and we have a div. So div is nothing but to differentiate between the different sections. So we have a div tag, and we are giving it an ID. So as we have seen earlier, ID is to uniquely identify each attribute in HTML. So for this div, we are giving an ID as example HTML. And inside that div, we are having a paragraph tag and we have written some content. This is initial content. And we are again providing a button also. So on clicking this button, what should happen is something we are mentioning on click attribute. So on click, we are trying to call change function, change content function in JavaScript. So on click, what should happen is it should call change function, and you are providing the text like change content, and you are closing the button. Now coming to the script that we have written, JavaScript. As we know, like it should be enclosed in greater than and less than symbols. So if you wanted to write functions in JavaScript, it should start writing with the keyword function followed by the function name. So here, if you wanted to try to access this particular thing, how do you access this particular thing is by using its ID. So document dot get element by ID, and you have to mention the ID of that attribute. So here for this div tag, the ID is example element. So example element is here. So what happens when you write document dot get element by ID means you will get the control of this whole div. So that is getting stored in element variable. So now if I wanted to change this text, this is initial content to something like hi, hello, or this is a new content. What I will be using is element dot inner HTML. So whenever you use this inner HTML, what happens is it will try to replace whatever HTML is there inside this div tag to the content that you wanted to replace. So here I wanted to replace it with this is a new content. So what happens now for this is when you load the page, when you click on this button, this particular text gets replaced with this text. But this is temporary, okay? Only when you click, this text gets changed. But once you reload the page again, you will roll back to the original content. So these are temporary dynamic changes that can happen to the website. These changes are not permanent. You cannot actually store them. So if you we click save, and if we try to run this code, so this is the initial content. So now if I try to click, it got changed to this is a new content. If I again reload this page, if I again reopen this page, it is again coming to the initial content only. So whatever you have made, changes that you have made, they are just temporary for that point of time. So on clicking, this is how by using the inner HTML keyword, you can actually make the website dynamic. So coming to the lab, so here you are having body, you are adding styles is nothing but cascading style sheets. If you wanted to add color to the background and all, you can use them. So you have a heading tag, ice cream, and you have an image tag, and you are adding an image, and you have on click eat. So click here to eat. So eat is a function that is written for you in the script. So as you have seen, document dot get element by ID hrd1 dot inner html. So if x equals so dot inner html, here we are trying to access the text that is already there. So HRD1 here it's inner text inner HTML is here is your ice cream. Okay, so that is getting stored in X. If X is equals to this, then you are performing some operations. Okay, these operations will be happened like you are changing the inner HTML of few tags. If X is hope you like this, then you are again performing some changes in the inner HTML. Else if both of them fail, then this is how you are replacing. So you can see initially here is a refilled ice cream. Ice cream is not ready. So if you click here to eat, once you eat, hope you like this, ice cream is not ready, click here to refill. So on click, you are able to make the changes on the HTML page. So if I reload again, those changes will not be permanent and they are just for that particular instance. So these are the topics that are there in today's lab, like inner HTML functions and all. So let me know if you have any doubts. Okay. Thank you all. Have a nice day.